represent the Rotary Club of Montreal West and NDG.
We'd like to thank all of you for coming to join us this evening for the comedy show.
We know this has been a very difficult year and some organizations have been hit differently than others. Unfortunately, the YMCAs of Quebec is one of those organizations.
So we decided that it would be fun to throw a virtual comedy show and raise money for those close and important to us, our youth, as their mental health is important and the YMCA does have many programs to help them.
And we thank you so much for being some of these people who are able to help us help them. So we really hope that you enjoy the show and laugh, because we all need a good laughter these days.
Please welcome to the stage, Josh Williams. Woo! Hey, how's it going, guys? Good? This will be fun. I'm doing this for the Montreal West Rotary Club. Yeah. It's gonna be a fun set. Yeah. I don't know what that is. I had 4 days to Google it. I don't know what it is. So I was busy not doing anything for those 4 days. I'm happy to be back out, though. We are all addressing this pandemic. Look at all you pretty people coming out, because the old people are still terrified to venture out into public. Thank God, too. It's horrible driving on the streets with them. They might be the people that this charity show is for. I really hope not, though. They're in Montreal, though, so we know nobody there is listening to the rules. They're fine. I'm happy to be out. I actually got out of a very long-term relationship right before quarantine. I was like, okay, I am back on the market, and I am not showroom ready. So we're gonna have to work on this. And then they shut down the market. I was like, all right, this is gonna be tough. This is gonna be tough. But one of the things I did, like, here's the thing. I was in a serious relationship, and I had no idea. Because nobody tells you, right? You're dating. You don't wake up one day and there's an email in your inbox like, hey, by the way, this relationship's serious now. Stop enjoying yourself. Right? That doesn't happen. An event happens that makes you realize, wow, this relationship is a lot more serious than I thought. Here's what happened to me. One day my girlfriend sent me to Costco to buy yogurt, which was not the giveaway in and of itself. I can handle that. Go there, get yogurt. But if you guys don't know this about Costco, they're a wholesaler, right? Like, they have like a million of everything. But the day I went, that yogurt fridge was completely empty. Yeah, right? I remember being 18 years old thinking to myself, like, hey, when I get into a serious relationship, I'm going to be an equal partner, all right? I'm never going to be whipped. 30-year-old me is standing in the aisle at Costco with his cell phone in his hand, taking a picture of an empty shelf so that I can prove my innocence when I got home, right? Because I learned the most important relationship lesson: you do not piss off the dragon that guards the magic vagina. You get it, it's yogurt. All you young pretty people, take that lesson with you. And keep wearing white sweaters or whatever it is. Fucking adorable over here. That guy's trying to get pussy. I'll put on whatever you want. Just put it on my face later. I'll have to edit that out for the charity show. But it's fucked up, because now I'm like, okay, I'm back on the market and I gotta figure out how to date during quarantine and pandemic. And I'm like, it's all apps. It's all apps, like, oh, that face, whatever, do I want that? Just nope, swipes. I don't have the kind of face that works on those apps. Like, if this was one of those apps, you guys would have swiped me off before I even got to the fucking microphone tonight. You're like, fuck no, next person. Right? I don't have that. And then here's the thing, what if I even got past stage one of those apps? Right? I don't get the app culture, right? Like dick pics, sending dick pics to each other. That's a weird thing to me. Like, don't get me wrong, I take dick pics, but it's so I can see it. And it's a ton of shit. So I'm like, I gotta get in shape, right? So I work on the apps. It's fucking ridiculous. One of the things I started to do to take better care of myself, I started doing hot yoga, right before they locked everything down. I got suckered in by the word hot, right? Like, hot yoga is gonna be erotic, right? That's what the hot yoga means. Because before I got into that long-term relationship, right, it was like almost a decade. The big trend that came out before that was like the DVDs they started marketing towards women. You know, the ones were like, hey ladies, why don't you teach yourselves how to be strippers in your living room? Pole dancing fitness or whatever. I saw those DVDs and I'm like, these guys are idiots. Women are never gonna fall for this, they're intelligent. Then they slapped the word aerobics on it. Women were like, oh my God, it's aerobics. Sandra, we should do it. It's aerobics. It was $20 a song before. Now it's aerobics. Okay. So good news, fellas. Turns out we're not perverts. We're just fitness enthusiasts. We get to make that bullshit exchange. So I just figured, okay, I'm getting into the ground floor of hot yoga, right? I'm going to see how this goes. Terrible decision. I'm standing in the classroom regretting it, like, great job, Josh. Why just be the fat guy in a room full of hot chicks when I can be sweaty too? That was brilliant. So you know how I solved that particular problem? I went up to Lululemon and I bought myself one of those headbands. It's the only thing in the store that fit me. But here's the thing, guys. I don't use it to keep the sweat out of my eyes. I use it to strap my erection to my leg during the entire class. It works like a charm. You too, huh? But I'm 38 now. I'm 38, I'm single. And it's like, there's things that even doesn't matter how much you go to the gym or anything like that, there's things you don't control, right? Like this year, this was a new one. Early 30s, I had to start getting my eyebrows trimmed when I got a haircut, right? I got this one this year in December when that brief opening. I went to my barber, goes to lean over my shoulder. He's like, hey, do you want me? I'm like, yeah, do the eyebrows. He's like, no. Do you want me to do your ears? I was like, dude, we're here now? That's, fuck. I thought that was an old guy thing. I really did. Right? And I couldn't, it bothered me. I couldn't let it go, right? Like, here's the thing. I get that our bodies make structural adaptations, right, over the history, right? So, like, why guys, why hair in our ears and in our 30s, right? Like, for example, a structural, like, we store fat in case we can't find food. I get that. That makes sense to me. I just wish my body would learn after, like, 4 decades, we've never had trouble finding food. Ditch the surplus. But hair in our ears? Only guys... Right? Or it's the best kept secret in the female community. Right? And in our 30s. So I had to think about it. Like, well, what historically happens to guys? Why would our bodies do this? What external thing would the eardrum feel the need to protect itself from? Right? Then it hit me. I was like, yeah, we get married, have kids. There's a lot of fucking noise and stories that don't need to go in there. Like, I remember seeing senior guys, right? Fresh cuts. Bushels of hair coming out of their ears. And I'm going like, why doesn't he just fucking get that taken care of at the same time? And I realized he's not suffering. He's evolved. You know what I mean? Like, his body has developed natural noise cancellation, right? We have to respect that. I'm thinking I might lean into it, personally. You go for tests, too, when you get older. Right? That's a weird thing. Like, I've been talking to my buddies about getting older. I remember I used to... When I was spending, like, impulse purchases, it would be like, oh, I'm going to buy, like, a PlayStation or a bike or something, right? Like, now my impulse purchases are, like, posture correctors, right? If I'm saving up for something, it's like Dr. Ho's back massager or whatever the fuck it is. Like, buying things to get me back to zero, right? My best friend in the world, when we were 18 years old, we had sex with the same girl at the same time, consensually. Like, we were both cool, the other guy being there. But here's the thing, it's like that was the shit that we would like reminisce about when we were young. Like, remember that time? Like, yeah, dude, that was awesome. This week, I had a 15-minute conversation with him about what acid reflux medication we prefer. It sucks getting older. Like I said, there's tests you go for. I had to go for a sleep test this year. You guys know what that is, young people? Yeah? Some of you? Looking over here, fellas, sleep test? They know. Not fucking turtleneck over here. You know. Oh, fuck. Really wish I wasn't taping this. I could have more fun with you guys. I go for a sleep test. That's a test to see if you get sleep apnea, right? Where you stop breathing at night. And I figured, okay, my ex would tell me that like I snored like a lumberyard. In fact, I'd wake up sometimes, she'd gone to sleep down on the couch in the living room. I've even shared accommodations with comedians who were like, dude, what the fuck was going on in your room last night? Like, it sounded like there was a pregnant walrus in there, and it was bad. So I was like, okay, you need oxygen and air to make that level of noise, right? So we're gonna do the sleep test as a formality. I go to do my sleep test, all right, at the Civic, okay? 6 o'clock was my sleep test. All right, I can go there. Bring will fill out forms, answer questions, do sir, whatever it is. I show up at 6 o'clock, give the guy behind the desk my name, and he goes, put this gown on and get ready for bed. 6 o'clock, dude. Get ready for... It's still rush hour outside right now. What do you mean, get ready for bed? You want me to go to sleep at 6 p.m. sober? Like, that's just... I think I'm going to fail this test. But So I go into the room, the guy puts all these wires on the top of my head, my face, the back of my neck, my chest. I look like the back of a home theater system by the time I was done. Right? And then he starts hooking all these wires into something that looks like a car battery, like the least technical thing I've ever seen in a hospital in my life. Right? So he says, try to get some rest. I go, okay, sit down to bed, 6:04 p.m., afternoon sunlight pouring in. I think like 6.5 hours later, I fell asleep. You know how comfortable those beds are, right? So I wake up almost immediately afterwards to the nurse guy being like, Josh, you stopped breathing enough last night. Do we have to offer you the machine? And I was like, the machine? He's like, well, the sleep apnea machine. I was like, ah, shit. Because I realized in that moment that I failed the test, right? That's a pretty obvious thing, failed the test. But more than that, I realized what he was telling me is like, hey, you know that thing where you lay there and do nothing? You're doing it wrong. So now we gotta hook you up to an inanimate object that's better at breathing than you are. Which is horrible, right? Because I'm pretty sure that's rule number 1 to being alive. Breathe. You know what I mean? And my body's like, can we outsource this? I was like, that's embarrassing, right? So the rest of the night goes off without a hitch, and he tells me to go down to the room number 3 and talk to the sleep doctor, right? So I'm like, I go into the room, the sleep doctor's like, hey Josh, did you have a good sleep? And I'm like, apparently not. That's why I'm talking to you. And he goes, well, let me tell you how we rate sleep tests, right? He goes, I'm not sure if you know this, but everything is measured in events per hour, right? 0 to 5 events per hour is considered nothing. You roll over, you adjust yourself, everyone stops breathing 0 to 5 times per hour. 5 to 15 times per hour is considered mild sleep apnea. We don't treat it. We just suggest maybe get checked again in a few years to make sure it doesn't worsen. 15 to 30 times per hour is sleep apnea. It's treated with the machine that you had last night. Now, you stop breathing 97 times, and I was like, oh, so I was dead, basically, is what you tell me. I died. Which made sense to me, right? Because I'm like, I used to think that I was snoring. I think it was just my soul trying to escape every single night, but it was trapped under all the weight, like a mine caved in, it's calling for help. So I'm just like, so you tell me I stopped breathing for 97 seconds? Like, he's like, no, 97 times. And our machines don't even measure a count unless you stop breathing for 10 seconds or longer. And I'm like, cool, where do I enter my initials? Because that's the high score, for sure. Right? Is there even that much time in an hour? Like, what do you think? He says to me, he goes, listen, I realize you're making jokes, all right, but you need to understand how bad that is for your body, because if you stop breathing at night, your heart is working like overtime trying to get what little oxygen it has to the extremities of the body. You're at risk for a heart attack, stroke, all this. And I'm listening to him, and at the same time thinking, like, why did I take my watch off before bed? Because I could have closed my rings while I was sleeping, and that's when the fucking cardio's amping up, right? Like, I thought I was going to get bed to get rest. Turns out I'm more active asleep than I am awake. Like, that's when I hit the dream gym, right? So, yeah, the dream gym, buddy. P90X in the land of Nod. So, he says to me, he goes, look, here's the thing. If you look at the results here, you'll see that the machine corrected your breathing, and the rest of the night, whatever, you went into REM sleep within 3 minutes. And he's like, most people it takes 45 minutes. Don't worry, your body's just paying back its sleep debt. Sleep debt is a thing too? Like, even in the land of Nod, I have bad credit. That's what that means, basically. Okay. And he says, the good news for you, though, is that, if you lose the weight, I understand you don't want this machine. If you lose the weight, you won't need the machine anymore. It's great news. And I was like, let's think about it. And I'm like, yeah, I could lose the weight, right? Go to the gym. It's a thing I could do. Become one of those guys, right? Don't miss leg day. Talk like that, be one of those guys. Whatever. Like salads are gonna have to enter my life, right? Kale, ugh. The tinfoil of vegetables, right? I get all about kale. I even considered briefly becoming vegan. I'm like, I can be vegan. And I was like, no, you know what? I think I'd rather die a man than live as a monster. And as I'm contemplating my new horrible life, the doctor's like, oh, great news. Looks like your insurance is gonna cover the machine, so you don't have to pay anything for it. I was like, oh. Thank God. All right, come on, R2. It's time to breathe for Daddy. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. As you may have heard, my name is JC LaFontaine. I can't really help but to feel like I'm in one of those high school instructional videos. You know the ones I mean, when the teacher would come in with that big trolley with the massive TV held on by a seatbelt. You definitely knew that was going to be a good day. It's disappointing that I can't be there with you tonight in person. Thanks to circumstances, we are meeting in the Matrix. Here's hoping the red pill is as potent as my THC pill. I do want to take 1 minute and just say thank you so much for all of the work you do for the community, from seniors to youth programs to the homeless. This community is more important than ever right now, so it's really nice to see people give back. So in terms of pandemic, I have to say that I am a little bit disappointed. I was hoping that if it was going to be some sort of apocalypse, I was kind of hoping for the zombie type. Yeah, just because finally somebody would want me for my brain and not my body. That joke was just for me. That was just to make sure that I can still tell joke. It's been a while with the whole pandemic and everything being on lockdown. So here it goes. I'll start by giving you guys a little bit of something about myself. I'm a small town girl. I'm from one of those small towns where the population sign never changes. That's because every time a kid is born in my hometown, their father leaves. Yeah. I'm from a small town called Cornwall, Ontario. And if some of you have heard of it, truly ask yourselves, have you ever heard a good thing about Cornwall, Ontario? Yeah, that sounds about right. They teach us from a really young age how to be hooligans. And it starts in school. We have the same programs you guys do in the bigger city, but with like a small redneck twist to it, right? Like I had chemistry class, but I learned how to cook meth. Yeah. Even in computer classes, we learned how to make fake IDs so that we can sneak into Club La Sainte up in Valleyfield underage. I mean, even our math problems were a little weird. I'll give you an example. If I have 6 hits of LSD and Chad eats 3 hits of LSD, how many fingers is Chad gonna see? The answer is me looking like an idiot for you on your screen. No, honestly, as terrible as it was, we were at least a very progressive city. We always had gender neutral bathrooms. Yeah, I mean, from the age of 6, me and my friend Matt used to pee in the same swimming pool. Obviously, leaving my hometown and my child behind was the best decision I've ever made. Yeah, till I moved to the big city, I didn't even know you could buy cigarettes and anything else than a plastic baggie. I'm happy I chose Montreal, though. I am happy I chose Montreal. I absolutely love it here. And we all know the French are just the sweetest people. I mean, I'll never forget my first day getting off of the mega bus at Barrie UQAM and having these 2 wonderful French gentlemen stop me and were like, excuse-moi, madame, you want to fuck us for $10, right? I didn't know what the best part about that was. That this small town girl could pass for a big city hooker, or that they were gonna overpay. Turns out you don't make that much money in comedy. But I do love it. I love comedy. One of my favorite things about comedy is the travel. I get to travel and I get to see all these great places. And because my career is huge, I get to travel to a lot of small towns, right? And I've come to realize one thing about small towns, and that's everybody's business is in their house, right? Hairdresser in a house, karate classes in a house. I mean, even my gynecologist opened up shop in his parents' basement. Yeah, it's a little less McGill, a little bit more John Abbott, right? But I did notice the more south of the border I go, the crazier that gets. Because not only is it in a house, but they try to combine multiple businesses that really don't belong together under the same roof, right? Like I'll give you a few of my favorites. There was this one place called Aves, Wisconsin's finest taxidermy, and cheese. And I'm at a loss. I really don't know what kind of wine you should pair with cheese that contains animal fur and teeth, right? Like, I'm guessing anything in a box. But I also went by this one spot. It was a Jehovah Witness church and shoe repair. And I was just like, what? That's brilliant. Because now, after all of the door-to-door walking, preaching your Bible, you can go to one place and fix both your souls. But I think my honest favorite was this place called Algrim's Funeral Home and Mini Putt. Right? Yeah, you heard me. I can just imagine the television commercial that's trying to convince you that this is a good idea. And it's just some sleazy car salesman going, "Hi, somebody you know died recently and you can't find a sitter for your naughty ass kids? Well, come on down to Algrim's Funeral Home and Mini Putt where everyone ends up in a hole." Yeah. So believe it or not, my parents support me being a comedian. I have really great parents. I love my parents. My parents are fantastic. The only problem is that they do support every terrible decision I've ever made, so that I just couldn't become financially stable, mentally stable, and lovable, right? So I'll give you guys a few examples. I decided to go to university, but at Concordia, actually. But I decided to take a bachelor in fine arts, right? And all my mom could say was, "That's brilliant. I think paying $30,000 so you can learn about your shapes and colors is the best decision you've ever made. You can help your nephew out with his homework because he's learning the same shit in grade 2 for free." Yeah. Obviously, I couldn't get a job with my bachelor in fine arts, but they failed to tell me that would happen. So I decided to try my hand at comedy and decided to become a comedian. And all my mom could say was, "Go for gold. I think picking a career where you make no money is the best decision you've ever made. Because at least you know your student loans are always going to want you." And she was right, because not only do they call me on a daily basis to check up on me, but they want to compliment me on my outstanding balance. Which turns out is not a good thing. So to get over the depression of that, I picked up heroin. But I told my mom, right, and all she could say was, "I am so proud of you. It only took you 30 years to get over your fear of needles." Right, so yeah. And despite all of that, I still managed to find somebody to love me, right? I am seeing someone, and it's going great, and that's great because I was terrible at being single. Turns out I had a type. The unemployed type that spends their time in their pajama pants, smoking weed and playing video games. So basically the teenage son I never wanted. But I think my problem was really that I was really terrible at flirting. I remember going to this party one time and seeing this beautiful man, and I just kind of walked up to him and said, "Hey, I have a thing for beards. Just gonna run my fingers through yours." And he said, "That's cool, because I have a thing for vaginas. So I'm just gonna run my fingers through yours." Yeah, it was a fantastic night. I even made $10, right? But no, it's great. I think one of the reasons I was so bad at it was because I decided to take all my advice from romantic comedy movies. You know, the ones that are always the same. And don't do that. It's a terrible idea. It's always the girl just walking around, trips, but instead of falling flat on her face, the guy of her dream just happens to be there to catch her. And it's like, bam, soulmates. Or the girl spills a scalding hot coffee all over a guy's lap, and instead of saying, "Ow," he just laughs it off. Ha 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 ha. Bam, happily ever after. I don't think so. Do you know how many times I've thrown my coffee at a man and he's never asked me out? The best I got was a restraining order. But my friends are trying to convince me, because of my age, to just kind of fast forward, because who knows how long he'll love me, and skip the wedding part and go straight to having babies, because they say they're little miracles. And I was like, whoa, let's agree to disagree, right? Because a miracle would be finding a job with my bachelor in fine arts. Yeah. Or a miracle would be the Montreal Canadiens winning the Stanley Cup this year. I know, it's sad. A miracle would also be all of those French fries you find in the bottom of your McDonald's bag when you thought you were done eating, but you were secretly still hungry. All of those bag fries are miracles. Girl, you're talking children, and I am from Cornwall, Ontario. That is what everyone gets for their 16th birthday. But I want to thank you guys again for having me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joey Elias, and thank you. No matter where you are, no matter how you're watching this, who knows? It's a crazy world we live in, but thank you so much for coming out, staying in, really, and supporting the Rotary Club. I have to say that hopefully we'll spend some time together. We'll be entertained, as you have been already, by the opening acts. And I apologize for the glasses. Getting older. That's what happens. I can't see my cheat sheets otherwise. So this is just amazing. So yeah, this is a show that I have to mention that I believe we started planning this in late 2019. And here we are. So anybody who was told me that I have a fear of commitment, 2 years later, here I am. But I hope everybody is doing well. It's such a weird time because everything is COVID. Like, and the way people think, it's messed up their head. You know what I mean? Like, like not to get morbid and everything, but people are like, you hear about Len? Well, what about him? Oh, he died. COVID? No, he was shot in the head twice, mistaken identity. Oh, well, thank God, not what it wasn't COVID. What do you mean, thank God, wasn't COVID? It's and here's what people don't realize about me is I am an awkward individual. I seem outgoing and social, but I'm never quite sure what to say, how to act. For instance, many years ago when international travel was still legal, and we're not going to talk, to our children's about it, like, like it was Atlantis. No, we actually got to see the other side of the world. It was phenomenal. We took these flying birds. Anyway, but I went over to do shows and everything was in order. I had my work papers, they were stapled into my passport. All I had to do was show the individual my passport, and when he said to me, what is the purpose of your visit? All I had to do was point to those papers. Awkward. He says, hello, what is the purpose of your visit? I responded with, to hear you sing Chimney. Yeah, apparently, much like our customs officers, they don't have a sense of humor there either. They gave me a big exam known as the hello. Yeah, it was 3 fingers. Not as welcoming as I thought, really, but different. It's a different greeting. Who am I to argue with different cultures? I mean, I thought, being a member of the Commonwealth, we just usually said, hey, how you doing? Welcome. And, maybe they gave us a spot of tea, but they spotted something else, apparently. The other, I was talking about staying positive and all this. The one positive for my awkwardness in all this is there will never be another house party. And that is phenomenal because even before COVID, I never understood house parties. I dated somebody for numerous years and all her friends. And this is what I don't get. House parties are fine when you're in high school. You know what I mean? Like when you have no license and you have no money and somebody's parents are away and you know that they have more stuff, more than, in the cabinet, more than just like peach liqueur and peach schnapps. That's a dead giveaway that you broke into the liquor bar. What you do tonight as they come home and you're green full of creme de menthe? Watch movies? So yeah, but the house parties, first of all, I never liked house parties before this because I should mention this, I'm 49 years old and single. And house parties in the last 3 years have become my coupled and married friends trying to pawn me off on their divorce friends. That's their selling point. Listen, come over. We're having people over. There's some divorcees, which is a polite way of them saying, listen, man, some of these women are so broken, you have a chance. And here's the thing. You know, like one of my buddies was like, you should pair up with somebody. You know, look, in the pandemic, you're alone. Why would you die alone? First of all, what do you mean? I never said I'm going to be like this forever. I'm just temporarily single for the last 7 years. But, but also, not to get all metaphysical, but we all die alone, you know? Unless, of course, we're pilots, and then there's a, you know, investigation, probably inquiry board. You know, they put the pieces back together. Nobody's trying to put the pieces back together of my relationships because it's too broken. Anyway, but yeah, speaking of the relationship, so I would go because my ex, while we were, you know, younger, her friends still, they just threw house parties. So I would go, just never to argue with the ex. You know, I would always try to have an excuse like, oh, I have a show, except she knew my schedule was up on the wall. Idiot. Now that I think about it, that was one way. Wow, I'm bad at this stuff. Anyway, I would go just not to argue. And as soon as we got there, I would make my presence known to everybody so that they know I was there. You know what I mean? I'd be like, hello, hi, you know, hey, Tootie, you know, hey. And then even their blind friend, you know, I'd be like, hey, Tommy, look. Oh, that's right. Feel me, see me. So everybody knew I was there. And then, as soon as that happened, I would automatically go and try and find the quietest place where nobody would find me. Like if it was a house party during the winter, I would go into the room, you know, where everybody threw the coats on the bed, and I would hide under the coats. I figured nobody's going to find me under there. I still get Wi-Fi. I can watch the game on my phone really quietly. No harm, no foul. Sometimes I would hide in the kids' room, you know. Sure, the kid was there and asleep, but even more reason that they wouldn't find me. You know, sometimes, the one time, I remember this, I went up to an attic. I never even knew that those still existed. You know, you just hear about them in mysteries and Scooby-Doo. And I was up there, and it was quite peaceful. I was just sitting there. I found a chair, and I was staring at this old window, at this street lamp. Anyway, I live an interesting life. I stare at street lamps, I feed squirrels, and I watch otter videos. Tell me why I'm single. Well, I'll get into that later again. Somehow, in this attic by myself, I am found by this person. Oh, hi. I am so sad. I'm so sad. My cat died, and now I have 7. And again, awkward. Don't know what to say. Don't really know this person. Just happens to be a friend of a friend of a friend. And I'm like, well, listen, I know you for all of like 30 seconds. And having met you, I could reassure you that your cat killed itself. Yeah. I'm willing to gamble that it took a running start off your balcony, landed, and then went up the stairs and did it 8 more times to make sure it was completely dead, never to hear your happy drone again. And then, again, ask yourself, why are you single? But here's the thing. I've looked back at all my failed relationships, and the common denominator is me. So why keep going back to these things? And I don't even know where to meet people. You know, if you meet people online, kudos to you. I don't have that kind of heroism involved. You know what I mean? Because I don't trust the pictures. You know what I mean? It's always the woman like in a nice dress and sniffing a flower, you know, in some garden. It's never this. You know, the look you're going to see when you wake up in the middle of the night and she's just there. I like watching you sleep. Do you know you stop breathing sometimes? I ponder if I should wake you or not. You know, that's what I want to see. But if you have met, I know many people that have met online and have been successful. Then I have one buddy of mine who was like, you know, it's a waste because I feel like you would be a good father. First of all, nobody knows that. It's a crapshoot. Like, he's telling me like, oh, maybe you don't need a mate. You know, there's different ways of achieving a baby. I'm not fit to adopt a highway. Do you understand this? And this is how I know. So all this awkwardness and so forth, all of a sudden things started feeling a little odd. I always knew I was odd, to be honest. Like I would say things and people would laugh, and deep down I'd be like, I'm serious. And, people just thought I was funny. Like you hopefully are right now. This is honestly the most awkward thing coming out of COVID, is doing shows from your home. And it's not because I'm in slippers. I actually have a shirt, nice shirt, I think. I have a pair of jeans, and I went through all my pre-show superstitions. But you don't know. Like at any point, there could be, people storming through my door, and for all we know, it's a bus gone wrong. That would be something, though. That would be a show. I mean, that would end up on the internet instantly. And imagine it was like somebody, it was completely wrong. You know what I mean? Like SWAT team comes swinging in, or Batman. Batman. So I started not feeling well. And it just turns out that I had my regular appointment with my GP, who I don't usually go to. It took me a long time to go to a doctor because, one, I was incredibly obese, if you remember that. I'm down like, I don't know how much I'm down, but I'm down. I feel better now. You know what I mean? But I was traumatized by the fact that the camp doctor, when I was younger, I went to a summer camp, no matter what your ailment was, he would give you 3 cough drops. Yeah, you'd walk in, swollen ankle, purple, 3 cough drops. Arrow in the eye from an archery accident, 3 cough drops. You can walk in holding your severed head, and he'd be like, oh my God, your throat must kill. And he would just drop them in. You're like, what is wrong with you? By the way, just before I mention why, the whole cat thing and all that, but I don't want to get angry emails. Okay? It's not that here's the thing. I'm a dog person, right? I don't know how many of you have dogs. I hope some of you rescued your dogs like I did. Actually, I don't know if I rescued my dog. I just undid her leash from a pole, and now she's home with me. But every cat owner, okay, that I've ever met in my life has never paid for a cat. And this is why I kind of get mad. Oh, how'd you get your cat? Oh, always the same story. Oh my God. It was minus 40, and we were walking down the street to the car, and we saw this kitty cat run into the alley. And I thought to myself, that cat must be so cold and hungry. How many homeless people did you walk by today? Think about that for a second. You're like, you got any money? And you're like, screw you, get a job. And you're like, here, kitty, 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 kitty. I'm going to call you Mittens. That's another thing. Why do we always name our cats after things homeless people need? Huh? Mittens, socks, education. Okay, maybe the last one. Too far? All right, I even feel through the screen, some of you were with me, and then I said education, and you were like, too far, Joey. You went too far. But it turns out that there is something wrong upstairs. So I had my GP appointment. Like I said, didn't want to go to the GP, but went. And I mentioned to him, I said, just for nothing, I'm kind of awkward, but also I was getting these other little signs that something was wrong. I couldn't just go out. There was like almost like a force field, no joking involved. There was like a force field at the door. I was a grown-ass man that couldn't go do grocery shopping, So he decided to say, like, well, I think there's something wrong with you. He actually ran a test in his little office, and he came out with this genius. And by the way, you may know my doctor. He's the Jewish guy on Côte d'Ivoire. Do you know? Yep, that's him. He came out with the diagnosis that I am suffering from general malaise. General malaise. Doesn't that sound like a sauce you would put on your eggs? Hello, yes, I'd like the eggs. Yes, with the malaise sauce. Just the general. No, nothing fancy. No salmon, just general. Thank you. So I got sent to a clinic, which is always fun. And the first test, they put me in a room, and there was a dark wall in front of me. And I thought, this is it. They're going to shoot me. People have paid money, and I'm going to fall for this ruse. And all the other people that hate me, boom, boom, bam, 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 right in the back. But in all seriousness, they told me I'm going to see a red dot. Every time I see the dot, I have to point to it. And about 20 minutes into this, it dawned on me that this isn't a test. I've been mean to cats, and this is, karma getting even with me for every time I messed with a cat with a laser pointer. You know what I mean? So it turns out, pardon me, don't worry, not COVID. Oh, not good, not COVID. Just polyps. What? No, just, you know what it is? I have allergies and postnasal drip. So now, as soon as you sniffle, cough, or sneeze, it is, and do it on the metro, okay? Even with the mask, hate crime. They look at you like you have committed a murder. Do it, it's fun. I don't want to give away where I live, but I live where I live in Montreal and it's not Montreal West. That's how long ago. I think I was still living in Montreal West when we actually met to, I don't even remember, but I did live in Montreal West at one point. I know that's the Rotary Club of Montreal West in NDG. Hello, NDG. I'm not in NDG either. I frequent NDG quite often because it's nice. And sometimes when, bike paths aren't just put up on main arteries for no reason, it's even nicer. I really hope certain people aren't watching the show right now because I have a feeling that I won't be asked to campaign for them. Probably not. Back to my thing. So it turns out, I have anxiety and real anxiety. Like panic attack anxiety leads to depression anxiety. Not embarrassed to tell you that I see a shrink. I'm on my second. Not because the first one quit. He wasn't like the cat and took a running leap. No. What happened is after we got the diagnosis, my GP and I, he gave me 2 numbers. And I decided, well, I'm going to call both numbers at the same time. And because I didn't know how this works at the time. You know what I mean? So I call them both, and whoever calls me first, they win my psychoses. Seems like a wonderful Lotto Quebec win, Anyway, get a call from the first person's assistant, and they make an appointment for me. And I just want to say this. It is important for people, if you are suffering from anxiety or depression, to get the help. And it's very important for those of you who know people that are going through that to be supportive. Having said all that, I also want to say that I do not want to belittle anybody with a speech impediment, but if you stutter, maybe going into therapy to help those with anxiety, not your calling. Okay? This first guy came in. I was sitting on the couch, and he just went, ha, 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 and I was like, are you okay? Is there lint on the needle? Are you good? What? Maybe you just got to clean it off a little, the lint. Ha, 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 ha. One question in the hour. That's what I paid him for. Listen, again, not to belittle anybody with a speech impediment, but if you stutter, you got to know your limits. You know what I mean? Like obviously no therapy, okay? Maybe don't go into 911 dispatch. Yeah, maybe own it. Maybe read to the kids. And then the train went choo, and then the kids are like, oh my God. It was like the train was in the room. I felt it. You know what I mean? You could be the most amazing school reader in the world. Yeah. The other thing that comes with my anxiety, apparently, is my fear for change, which is now that I'm made aware of it, yeah, it was, I always thought it was, kind of emotional when, you move out or you, your parents sell your childhood home and all that. But I never realized it got to the point where I go to a local pharmacy and in the middle of this pandemic, they renovated the non-essential items and all their stuff. So they finally reopened, and I can go through the crime scene because that's what it looked like. They all roped it off like it was a crime scene, right? Like, oh my God, if you buy, a loofah, you can go to prison. That is not an essential item. And then somebody should have been like, have you seen my back and my eczema? It is an essential item. That's a whole other thing. Like, what is an essential item? What's essential to you is not me. I think air. Air is essential. Can we agree on that? And water. Air and water. And sports. Well, hockey. And golf. And football. And baseball. I apologize if I feel like I'm rambling on, but I can't hear any of you. And if some of you remember, I had a radio show many years ago. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, free plug, but I'm now on Global television every Sunday at 6:30 during the news. If it's not on at 6:30, it's definitely on at 11, and it's on Monday morning. It's also on their website most times. It's called Everyday Joe, so have a look at that. So yeah, it turns out that the pharmacy changed the layout. Like, I knew exactly where everything was, and this frustrated me, okay? I walked in, I needed deodorant, right? Because you just don't, nobody's showering, so you might as well have a shower in a can or gel. You know what I mean? Just saying, we've all been there. Don't laugh. Especially the men. We've all stayed over at somebody's house overnight, didn't want to shower because we wanted to get out of there quick, and you're like, secret. Secret is, I won't tell anybody, I just use secret. But yeah, anyway, it comes down, I'm just looking for deodorant. And now I finally find the new deodorant section, but now it's not in the same order. Like, I knew exactly what I wanted, and what I always bought was always there. And now it's all over the place. So now I'm looking through other brands. I never realized, first of all, the difference in names of men's deodorant and women's deodorant. I think it should just have one scent called Not Stinky, right? Because that's the goal. But women have very cool names, because it's like crushed rutabaga with pomegranate, or coconut oil with a splash of cucumber, and men get fresh puddle, But there was one that was called Avalanche, and I bought it. And then I got home and I realized, do I even know if that's accurate? Do I know what an avalanche smells like? Do any of you actually know what an avalanche smells like? No, pardon my English, but I imagine an avalanche smelling like my pants filling up with shit. Yeah. No, yeah, seriously. How calm would you be if you were on like a cliff and all of a sudden you saw like 500,000 pounds of snow coming at you at Mach 9? I don't think you take the time to be like, oh man, that is something fresh. That smells good. If they can put that in a can or a gel, I would walk around feeling fresh, and then poof, in the face. So how do I deal with my anxiety, you ask? Well, my doctor, I exercise. I try to walk before, before 8 o'clock. How ridiculous is that? I never had a curfew in my life, and now I have to tell you. What's kind of fun though is being this age and calling your dad, making sure he's home before curfew, just getting even. Hey, where are you? You only have 15 minutes, young man. Don't make me. I will be mad. There's no excuse why did you go out at that hour? You knew you had to be. Is that fun? See, who needs kids? I have a dad. We have to take care of him. It's amazing. That's the only reason I would have kids, is just so, when I'm older, somebody can take care of me. Because I know I'm not going to be demure. when I'm older. You know, I'm not demure right now, and I'm 49, like I said. So one of the things, my shrink, the second one, the one that I like, they suggested that I just do things I enjoy. So, you know, I started, like I said, I started working out. I started eating better. Didn't enjoy that. Um, so my doctor suggested that I go to yoga. Now, here's the problem. One of the reasons I bring this up is I don't feel 49. I don't think I act 49. You know, there are signs from the universe that I'm getting older. You know, like mentally I'm 12. And that's why when they suggested I go to yoga, I was a little like, oh God, okay, yeah, yoga. Let's, you know, let's see how this goes. This should be in the brochure. There is a lot of flatulence in yoga. And as a 12-year-old boy in a 49-year-old body, uh, farts are hilarious to me. You know, that should be right on the brochure. Hey, who cares about mind, body, soul, and, you know, namaste? You like farts? Come on in. First one's free. Now, I was a little bit bigger the first class I went to, and I walk in, and first of all, I was accosted by this very small, wee individual. It must have been bring your child to work day. And you know, maybe child wasn't fed on time or missed nap time and they were cranky. But this individual behind the counter was like, is this your first meeting of the yoga club? And I'm like, yes. She's like, do you have a mat? You need a mat. And I'm like, no, I don't have a mat. Well, you need a mat. You have to buy a mat. Very adamant. Now, I spent $20. Now, maybe this is a sign of age, but correct me if I'm wrong, but mats used to have some padding. No. What I bought was what I call prison toilet paper. Remember? We all used to have the prison toilet paper. Some of the young people don't remember the prison toilet paper. It was just a single square. You would, heaven forbid, have one bite too many with the Oak brand muffin and a coffee and a smoke, and you figured nicotine plus bran plus caffeine equals, well, the poop chute's going to open sooner than you thought, you know? And that, yeah, you were just stuck, one sheet. That was it. And it was like sandpaper, right? It was like, that's what they give you at prisons and schools. So, like, you know, you had to drop a deuce and do some woodworking while you were sitting there, you know? In prison, it was like, make a shiv. Anyway, I bought the mat. And to be honest, some of you are like, yeah, Joey really does have anxiety and ADD. I don't know if I pointed that out, but I do. That's why the little fancy. Can you tell that I'm single by my lava lamp? Yeah, that's how I woo the women. You know, it's bad when you laugh at yourself. This is my Tinder profile. It's actually 30 minutes of, huh? Who wouldn't want to hang with this? Look, I have the reverse Pepe Le Pew. I have the black stripe going down the middle. Anyway, I go into yoga finally, but this mat thing, this is what frustrates me, is about 25 minutes before this first yoga class of my life, before I bought this so-called mat, I stopped and had a souvlaki, a chicken souvlaki on a pita. And look, I even did the remove the stick. My acting abilities. That's why I've been in movies. If I didn't do that, you'd be like, no, that's a gyro. But now, souvlaki. But I did. And the pita that it came on was twice as thick as the mat. What I should have done was just eaten the chicken and, you know, and a couple of the veggies, and then unfurled this pita, done yoga on the pita, and that way, if, you know, got a little lightheaded, a little downward dog, and then a little tzatziki, and then energy boost from the garlic, and back into the dumbest named positions in the world. That's why I really don't like yoga, is the names of the moves are beyond ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to get off work one night when shows are allowed, and I'm going to be walking home at 1:30 in the morning a little tipsy, you know, because I'll be honest, I've only had 2 drinks in this whole pandemic. The first one was my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. We had the drive-by, well, not a drive-by, you know what I mean? It wasn't like we were like, happy anniversary, and then myself and my 2 siblings were like, and mowed them down from the car windows. We drove by and we're like, yes, everything is ours. No, we drove by, and not the driver, in case there's police officers there, but whatever. And then the second shot was just a random, well, it was 20 minutes before the show, because I was a little nervous, to be honest. So anyway, I go into this yoga class. Boy, that was a long way to get there. And like any good troublemaker, if there's any teachers out there, you know this. Where do the troublemakers go? Straight to the back of the class, to the right-hand corner. And by the way, if there's teachers out there, I just want to say kudos to you. I come from a family of teachers. My parents, both teachers, well, retired. My youngest sibling, my sister, is a teacher. My middle sibling, a brother, is a part-time physical personal trainer, so / teacher. And I'm the oldest, and I do this. So they should really hug me more for setting the bar so low. I don't know if they should, you know, they should do that. But yeah, I don't even remember what I was talking about. Like, I've just disappointed myself now. Anyway, the thing about getting older is that, I don't know if it's a thing you don't want to admit, but like I said, mentally I'm 12. You know, farts are funny. I still buy silly putty or whatever it's called over at the Dollarama. And can I just bring up another thing? Like, at least maybe I'm being biased, but I have 2 incredible nephews, okay? One is 15 years old, one is 15 months. The same sibling, different parents, in case you're wondering. But last summer, when we were allowed to gather in parks, my brother calls me up one day and says, listen, I'm going to bring the young man out, you know, wear your mask, and you can't actually physically touch him, but let's hang out. I said, okay. And listen, I'm a single guy. I haven't been to a park in a long, long time. But this is why I could not... Listen, we are raising our kids completely wrong. We're too soft on them. And the park is the perfect place. Like, I know, and again, the teachers, I'll come back to you in a second, but this whole everybody gets a ribbon, everybody passes, even the kid that's eating glue, he passes. You can't even say anything. His lips are sealed because of the glue. But the park, right? So rightfully so, I have not been to a park as a single man in many a year, right? Because that would have been awkward. What'd you do today, Joey? Oh, you know, it was nice out. I just went to the park and I sat on a bench and stared at the kids. And they were so much fun to watch. I gave out candy at the end, and then I got chased and I came home. Do you know that there's no longer sand in the sandbox? Yeah. I couldn't believe this. I was like, I asked my brother, I go, what is this? He goes, no. They replaced them with wood chips. Sure. Okay. Let me just say, where would you like me to put my cigarette out now? One extinguish it, the other one, that lit up. I did not mean for that kid to go up that fast. You know what I mean? Like, we call him Bernie now. Too soon again. I feel the shaking. But here is the weirdest. They took away the seesaw, okay? Because it offends the heavier child. I was a heavier child. That was the best game because you were finally in charge. You couldn't keep up with the merry-go-round people. The swing, that was ridiculous because they were never actually bolted in like they are now. You were the fat kid that pulled it out and, you know, brought it all down. But the seesaw, you ruled the seesaw as a fat kid because then it became just a C. You know, yeah, I would see the kid not heavy enough to come down. And the only thing that would bring them down was a saw. Huh? See what I did there? But it was the slide. This is what really threw me off. The slide is now in a moat surrounded by some sort of a real mat, some foamy, stuff that you would see in a gymnasium for gymnastics. Every step has a non-slip grip, so the child, does not slip. But here's the pièce de résistance. There is a rope on the actual slide itself, so that if the snowflake themselves decide to, they think, oh, I'm going too fast, they can slow themselves down. That's ridiculous, because when I was a child, slides were made out of whatever absorbed the most heat. That was it. We didn't have non-grip slip stuff. We would run home with third-degree burns from our ass cheek to our ankle, not even knowing. We would just come in yelling for aloe vera, which, by the way, you have to say in a British accent, aloe vera, because it sounds like a husband who's been married for 60 years and he sees his wife walk in again. Oh, aloe vera, you're back again to nag me, are you? So yes, I am getting older, and whether I want to admit it or not, there are signs. One of the signs that you're getting older is I have more doctors than I do friends, and I see them more often. That's one sign. The other sign is a few nights ago I went to bed, I felt fine, and then I woke up in the morning and I had a limp. That's right, I hurt myself sleeping. Who does that? I don't even know who I'm looking at. It's because I hear noise in the other room and I'm like, nobody's here. What's going on? It's aliens. You know what it is? It's the microchips. I haven't been vaccinated yet. I'm low on the list. Apparently, where do 49-year-old comedians fall? Below people who have had their second shot and maybe a third. I don't know why I brought that up. But yeah, getting older. You know what it was? My back thing is, I realized when I went to bed, I left the window open and there was a stiff breeze. I got bruised by the wind. That's what happened. Yeah. The other thing they don't tell you about getting older, and it's going to happen, is things are going to go wrong with your body. I have glasses now. I never had them before. Now I need them all the time, But like I said, I didn't want to go to the doctor for years and I was hesitant. But then I got this pain in my back, that was there for about 4 months. And I didn't do anything about it. And I just thought, oh, dummy, close the window. But then I did something that nobody should ever do, is I went on the internet to diagnose myself. And if you didn't laugh tonight, I don't blame you. But if you didn't take away anything, I want you to learn one thing, is never diagnose yourself on the internet, because no matter what you type in, it's worst case scenario. You have every ailment coming. Like I typed in back pain, 4 months, under shoulder blade. I immediately called my sister crying that I had ovarian cancer. And she was like, you're an idiot. You don't even have ovaries. I'm like, that's how bad it is. They've fallen out. And then she hung up on me and said something about adoption. I'm not really sure. It turns out I had kidney stones. Yes, 3. I am an overachiever. Now, I don't know if the women know this, but for men there is 2 ways to get rid of, 3 actually, 3 ways to get rid of kidney stones. One is the worst case scenario is surgery. Best case scenario is microwaves. They put like this really cool thing up against you while you sit in this funky chair with water, magnetic stuff. It's science. And if I knew science, I would have the lava lamp on. But I don't know. And of course, the other way is you pass them. Now, I don't know if women know this, but the only way out is to basically men have a hole. And that hole has the ability to pass liquid and liquid only. And I'm no geologist, but the term stone kind of gives it away. And the other sign of getting older is you're going to wake up in the middle of the night somewhere, and you are going to take the longest pee of your life. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even turn the lights on anymore. Cognitively mapped. I just get up, walk down the hall, into the bathroom, pull back the shower curtain, pee in the tub. You know what I mean? Why turn on the lights and wake yourself up? And don't laugh, because every guy out there, I don't care what age you are guilty of peeing in the bathtub. And I'm not talking about taking a shower or taking a bath. I'm talking about you've come home one night, maybe you've had a few too many, and you've looked at the toilet and you've thought, well, I'm not hitting that target. I'm going to pee in the big tub. And you know you're drunk, by the way, really drunk, when you try figuring out how to flush the tub for at least an hour. Honey, is it the stringy thing? What is it? Anyway, we've been there. But I heard mine in the middle of the night. Honest. I heard ping, ping, ping. And you just think, oh my God, sweet mother, I am free. And I called my doctor the next morning and I said, guess what, man? They're gone. Down the drain, literally. I feel better today. Because you're not done. Because you're over 40. We have to make sure there was no damage to your prostate. All right? Listen, I made the mistake. I went online and I Googled prostate exam. And the only thing that really caught my eye, and I will leave you with this, was there was an article that said that some men may or may not have their male G-spot up their anus. And listen, I've come this far in life without, knowing about the possibility of having one, let alone if I have one and if it's up there, and that's where the GPS is going to ping from. But I thought, I better, check, because that's an awkward moment to find out in the middle of your first prostate exam. Yep, it's up there. And I like it. Like all of a sudden the doctor's like, how are you, Mr. Elias? And you're like, oh, euphoric. I may need a second opinion. You working tomorrow? Does your partner have bigger thumbs? Anyway, that's my portion of the show, and I do want to just say thank you, especially to Tiffany, who has been so patient along with everybody on the committee. But Tiffany's been going back and forth between myself and everybody who's been on the show, Josh Williams and JC. The technical aspect has all been taken care of by David Trentadue. I know it seems really easy because we're all used to, having the power to mute people like you're probably doing to me, right? I'm going to miss that ability, by the way. What I'm not going to miss is what I'm going to do now is that awkward moment of how soon do you say goodnight? Do you end meeting? You know what I mean? If you give it a few seconds, do you look and you're like, okay. And that's the other thing. Can we all stop waving at the end? I call it the immigrant wave. If you go back to like all the old footage of the immigrants coming over from the old country to the new country, they're all waving like this, on the side of the boat to their relatives that they're leaving behind. But I'm not leaving you behind. I do want to say thank you to Tiffany. Thank you to the the Rotary Club of Montreal West and NDG. Thank you to everybody who tuned in and helped out this organization. And seriously, I miss you all. I miss seeing you in person. And let's aim to do this next year in person over at the curling club, because I miss the curling club. I miss the beautiful people and the staff over there, and it gives me a reason to go back into Montreal West and stop at Burger de Ville. Stay well, stay safe, and thank you for letting me entertain you. Good night.